This was a few moments before disaster. And this clown here is the culprit. This was the night El Chino assassinated Francisco Rafael Arellano Felix, the leader of the Tijuana cartel, one of the most dangerous organizations at the time. He did it dressed as a clown in front of Francisco's whole family. El Chino was a cold-blooded murderer, but it wasn't always that way. Jose Rodrigo Archiga Gamboa had a dream to become a pilot in the Mexican military, but that wasn't possible. He suffered from psoriasis, a chronic skin condition, so he was deemed inútil a la patria, worthless to the country. This seemed the end, but he found a new dream. He started studying architecture. However, he dropped out after 3 years because he needed to provide for his new wife and daughter. But he had no skills, no job. What would he do? Arechiga had a last card, but he struggled with it. This option would take away everything that he was. You see, Arechiga came from a close-knit family with a good name. His father worked for the government in Sinaloa and several roles, such as the Commissioner of Communal Lands, Treasurer of State Highways, and Congressman. His mother had a master's degree, and all of his siblings have degrees at the graduate level or higher. But there was danger next door. The family's neighbors were Ismael Zambada Garcia and his family. Zambada was the co-leader of the Sinaloa cartel, alongside El Chapo. Why have you never heard of him? Well, Zambada liked to keep a low profile. This allowed him to raise his family peacefully and hide in plain sight. With this closeness, Arechiga and Zambada's children became close friends. According to Arechiga's mom, they went to school together, they played together, they participated in sports together, they attended social events together, they grew to be best friends. So when he got into a terrible situation, Arechiga called the Zambada boys. His childhood friends had come up with a solution. Come work with us. And so he did. He entered the most powerful cartel at the time. Arechiga was first tasked with small errands, but over time his responsibilities grew, until he founded the Sinaloa cartel's brutal hit squad called Los Antrax. Slowly but surely, Arechiga gave way to El Chino. But why was El Chino so feared? El Chino was brilliant. His ideas enhanced the cartel's operations greatly. He organized a system of legal enterprises with tractor-trailers headed towards the border crossing. This allowed the trucks, which are transporting primarily marijuana, to get through with the appropriate paperwork. But it was his willingness to kill that made him feared by all. After climbing up the cartel's ladder, El Chino created Los Antrax, a group of hitmen named after the deadly bacteria. The name really got the point across, as the group was responsible for some of Mexico's worst conflicts in the last decade. El Chino trained his team like a platoon of armed men ready to go to war. Everyone feared the hit squad because of their reputation for brutality and open demonstrations of violence. In 2008 and 2009, the violence peaked. The Sinaloa cartel, the Beltran-Leyva cartel, and the Arellano Phoenix cartel all fought each other. During that conflict, Los Antrax became well known for its cruel practices. It was commonplace for the team to torture opponents and suspend their bodies from bridges. With this reign of terror, El Chino would maintain the cartel's interest for a long time. Until his hubris got the best of him. El Chino Andrés had a fatal flaw. The man was a show-off. He loved to display his money and lavish lifestyle on social media. But he wasn't a nobody. He was a well-known crime lord. So it was only a matter of time before his connection with social media would bring his downfall. El Chino frequently uploaded pictures and videos of his ostentatious lifestyle, which included trips to Europe, Las Vegas, Japan, and parts of Africa and the Middle East. In one of his pictures, the drug lord even appears alongside Paris Hilton. Good for him to get to travel to so many different parts of the world, because soon that would become a sweet, distant memory. The social media exposure wasn't enough, though. He had several narco corridos about him, Mexican folk songs glorifying the drug world. In these ballads, El Chino was described as an elegant and fit man who enjoys sports cars, yachts, and champagne. And that he did, until the police started following him. El Chino always blurred his face in his social media pictures, but still, the police could track him by his photos. But how? Because of another slip-up on El Chino's part. The drug lord was shown wearing the skull-shaped diamond ring, which represented Los Andrax in most of his pictures. And that's how the police found and arrested him at an airport in the Netherlands. But El Chino's the only one to blame. He goes to the trouble of creating a fake ID, undergoing plastic surgeries, erasing his fingertips, only to be discovered because of a ring. That is some deep hubris. And this would yet result in the worst situation of his life. El Chino was extradited to San Diego in July 2014, and his trial was a big show. Heavy security surrounded the hearing. Everyone had to pass through a second metal detector at the entrance to the courtroom. U.S. Marshals were posted around the room and in the hallways. First, El Chino claimed he wasn't guilty of the charges. But after a year, something changed. He said that he had been a part of the cartel since 2005, and he was in charge of some of the organization's duties. He admitted to committing violence himself and telling others to do it for the cartel's benefit. El Chino was given a prison sentence of 7 years and 3 months by a federal court in San Diego. That is an unusually short sentence, which indicated El Chino had made a deal with the police. Even though he had just a few years to complete in prison, once he was out, he would have a target on his back. Retaliation would come. Still, a question remains. Did El Chino give up the cartel's secrets so he would be free? Or did he truly regret everything that he had done? Before being sentenced, El Chino expressed his remorse in court. "I'm truly ashamed. I promise you I will never again go the wrong way. I'd like to be able to work, honestly." He added that once out, he would like to work in construction and home remodeling, a callback to his late dream of becoming an architect. It seems unlikely for a criminal to have such regrets, but he was once a dude, just like you and just like me. Someone trying to make the best out of their life. His wife even stated that she believes their financial situation really took a toll on him and forced him to enter a life of crime. Could this be true? Could Arechiga have been a completely different person if he finished college or entered the army? In 2020, El Chino was released on parole and placed under house arrest. But just a few months later, he escaped and fled to Culiacan to live with his sister and her husband. And that is when shit hit the fan. On May 16th, El Chino Andrax was found dead inside of an abandoned vehicle on a dirt road east of Culiacan. That was 10 days after he escaped prison. His sister Ada Jimena Arechiga Gamboa and her husband Juan Guillermo Garcia were also killed. The three were kidnapped and shot dead, with their bodies showing signs of torture. But the question remains, who did it? Who would benefit from this killing? After the hit, there was no retaliatory violence. This means that it was likely that he was killed by either the current leader of the cartel, Ismael Zambada Garcia, also known as El Mayo, or the sons of Joaquin Guzman Loera, also known as Los Chapitos. El Chino had close ties with Zambada, which might have made it unlikely that the old capo would have commissioned his death. But you gotta remember, El Chino cooperated with the police. El Mayo might have killed him because of betrayal. On the other hand, Guzman's sons probably had the most to gain from the execution, which took away from Zambada's most important allies. Still, no matter who pulled the trigger, El Chino was the one that was absolutely responsible for his own death. If he hadn't been proud enough to be easily captured, if he wasn't foolish enough to think that if he went to Mexico nobody would come after him, if he had just finished his house arrest sentence and become a home renovator, things might have been different. They say dead men tell no tales, so I'll focus on one who's alive. Before El Chino created his infamous death squad, El Chapo had already smuggled millions worth of cocaine. You want to know how? Well, click right here. Just a little boop, and then you're over there. Thanks for watching. Later.